I worked for a long time as a physician in the community. I trained here in Vancouver. My whole career was spent here in Vancouver, and I loved being a doctor. Something that was really meaningful to me. I enjoyed working with my patients. But over the years, I cut down my hours a little bit, and eventually I decided to retire. I think I wanted to try something different. To go in a new direction. I didn't know what it would be, but I thought I would try. I think I've always been a voracious reader since I was a kid. It's what I loved to do, and I love talking about books with people. I think that reading took a back seat for all those busy years of parenting and working full time. But when I cut down my hours a little bit, it was something that came back to me, or reignited in a way. And so I knew that I didn't really know what I wanted to do for sure in retirement, but I think after about 6 months of thinking about things and really getting back into reading a lot of books, it kind of came naturally. It's what I wanted to do. Since I really love reading, and I knew I really liked talking to people about books and reading, I wanted to share that with other people. And I had the idea to make a blog so that I could write longer pieces about books, reviews, just my thoughts. In fact, I sort of wanted to have a forum that I could keep the quotes that I liked from books and remember and look back about the books that I'd read. So I decided to make a blog. It's really challenging to make a blog. Luckily, my husband helped me. He's a software engineer. And that's how my website, trishtalksbooks.com, came about. I'm an eclectic reader. I like everything and anything to do with books. If pressed, I would say that my favorite genre is probably horror, and always has been since I was a kid. But I also really like literary fiction. And the neat thing about getting back into reading and discussing books with other people has been the different types of books that I've started to read that I wouldn't have read before. It's really neat. Things like rekindling my love of poetry. That's been really neat. Graphic novels, for example. Nonfiction. I wasn't a huge nonfiction reader. Now I really love nonfiction, and memoir as well. So it's been great to read everything. But probably literary fiction, horror, those are my two real loves. As I've started to read more widely and publish reviews of my books on my blog and on Instagram, which is the other forum that I found to be highly interactive and really wonderful place to be a reader and a writer and a reviewer. It's such an interactive and wonderful community. And what happened when I started to put my thoughts out in public was that I noticed that other people were reading, for example, poetry, and I would be interested in their reviews. So that's a great interaction where then I would seek out the poetry book, read it, and then it's a self-perpetuating cycle. I love it. I look for more poetry, for example. The other thing that happens too is that sometimes a publisher will then actively reach out and say, hey, would you like to read this book? And that's led to me reading books I would have never picked up, and it's been wonderful. It's enriching, and I've read far more widely. I think that I have found the kindest and most wonderful corner of Instagram on what we call Bookstagram, which is the community on Instagram where we read and write about books and discuss. So Bookstagram is just the moniker that we use for this small corner of Instagram that caters to readers, writers, and reviewers, people who want to share their thoughts about books. And you start there, you make an account, and you can, put your thought, photograph your books, write about the books you've read. But it's so much more than that. It's super interactive. So we do things like buddy reads, where a person you've never met except for on Instagram, you get together and you read a book together at the same time and discuss as you go along. For example, we do read-alongs where many people will get together and chat as we read a book together. And it's just so interactive and brings so much more to the reading. There are lots of local people on Bookstagram. So I follow and am followed by lots of Vancouver readers and lots of British Columbia readers. And it brings us together, even if we're geographically separated a little bit, we can still read and communicate about the books we love. And a lot of people love BC books. And I love BC books. It's been fantastic. That's part of this reading hobby that I've been doing, is discovering the amazing amount of local talent there is. Canadian authors and BC authors, there's so much wonderful talent and so many amazing books written by local authors. So it's been great getting other people's recommendations and being able to recommend BC authors. I love reviewing cookbooks. I love cooking. And one of the ideas I had when I started my website was to cook bookish recipes, or actually didn't think of reviewing cookbooks right away. I thought I would make recipes related to books and post them there. But I soon came to realize that cookbooks are fun to review because you get to cook from them, and then you get to have a dinner party or eat what you make, and it's wonderful. Even if it's not wonderful, even if a recipe is not wonderful, it's still fun. So yeah, so I started on my own. I would pick a cookbook, and it was sometimes local, sometimes not at that point. And the format I wanted to do was to read the cookbook and then cook from it. What I've discovered about cookbooks, which is really neat, is that they are just as much about the writing as they are about the recipe. The introduction sections, the head notes for the recipe are all really well composed a lot of the time, and that's just as fascinating as the recipes. Then you get into the recipes, and part of the pleasure is choosing what you want to cook. Sometimes I do it by myself. Sometimes I collaborate with friends, and we have a dinner party and cook. For the BC review, I usually take 3 recipes, and I cook each one of them, and then we sit, we eat them, and we evaluate them. And again, whether they're great, whether they're not great, it doesn't matter, because it's always fun and there's always value in it. So, and I've really, really enjoyed taking the photographs of those recipes. Cookbook photography is pretty challenging. The real life cooking experience and the photo that you take is very different than what's in the cookbook. Sometimes I can make it about right, about what they say in the cookbook. But a lot of times the reality is a little bit imperfect, and that's okay. Imperfections are fantastic. It's what we do in real life, right? We cook as best we can. We have some successes, we have some failures, not a problem. And then I take my imperfect photo of my imperfect creation, and it's just great. So I hope it makes other cooks who might choose that cookbook relate to my photo and know that it's okay not to have your finished product look exactly like it is.